I found out my spouse had an affair with a coworker, but they want to stay together for the kids. I never thought I'd be in this situation. I mean, who does, right? You see these kinds of things in movies or read about them in articles, but you never think it'll happen to you. But here I am, trying to make sense of the pieces of my life after I found out that my spouse, the person I thought I knew better than anyone else, had been having an affair with a coworker. And now they want to stay together for the kids. It all started innocently enough. Or so I thought. Late nights at the office, extra work events that couldn't be missed, and an increase in work-related phone calls or texts. At first, I didn't think much of it. It made sense. They were moving up in their career, things were getting busier, and the pressure at work had intensified. I didn't question it. Why would I? We had built a life together. We had a family, children who adored both of us, and a home filled with memories. It felt solid, like the kind of relationship that could weather any storm. But then small cracks started to show. There were moments that didn't feel right, moments that made my gut tighten. Conversations became shorter, and their attention seemed to drift even when they were physically present. I brushed it off, thinking maybe it was stress or exhaustion. After all, raising kids and managing a career isn't easy for anyone. I convinced myself that it was a phase, something we'd work through together like we always had. But then, one evening, I saw a message flash on their phone. It wasn't suspicious at first glance, just a simple notification. But something in me told me to look closer. And when I did, my entire world shifted. I read words that no one should ever have to read from their spouse, words exchanged with someone I barely knew. A coworker I'd heard mentioned a few times, but nothing more. The conversation was intimate, too intimate, and it was clear that this wasn't just a friendship or even an emotional affair. This was something physical, something real. I felt the ground give way beneath me, my heart pounded in my chest, and my hands shook as I scrolled through the messages. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It had been going on for months, right under my nose. The person I trusted most in the world had been lying to me, hiding a relationship that should have never existed. When I confronted them, I expected denial. But instead, they broke down and confessed. There was no excuse, no justification. They told me it had started with innocent flirting, but eventually it crossed the line. They were sorry, they said. They regretted it. They never meant to hurt me, but the words felt hollow. Sorry wasn't enough for the pain I was feeling. Sorry couldn't undo the betrayal. We talked for hours that night. I wanted to know everything, every detail. How did this happen? Why did it happen? Was our marriage not enough? They said it wasn't about me, that it wasn't about our marriage. It was a mistake, something that spiraled out of control, but how could it not be about us? How could it not reflect something broken between us if they felt the need to turn to someone else? And then they said the words that left me even more conflicted. They wanted to stay together, not for themselves, but for the kids. They didn't want to break up our family, to disrupt the lives of our children, who loved both of us unconditionally. The kids, they said, deserved a stable home. They deserved to have both parents under one roof. My spouse insisted they could change, that they could be a better partner, that we could rebuild what was broken. But could we? I was torn between two worlds, the love and trust that once defined our relationship, and the harsh reality of the affair that shattered everything. I thought about our kids, how they looked up to us as the foundation of their world, how much joy they found in the idea of family. And I thought about myself, about the years I had invested in this marriage, the years I had given to this person who now stood before me, asking for a second chance. The question kept swirling in my head. Was it worth staying? Could I live with the betrayal, knowing that the person I shared my life with had been unfaithful? Could I truly forgive them and move forward, or would I always carry the weight of this affair? Could we ever go back to the way things were, or had the damage been done for good? I knew that staying together just for the kids wasn't a healthy solution, at least not in the long term. They would eventually sense the tension, the pain, the unresolved issues between us. And I didn't want to set an example of a loveless marriage or one built on resentment. But I also didn't want to tear apart their world, to make them navigate the complexities of divorce at such a young age. For days, I went back and forth, weighing the pros and cons, trying to figure out what was best for everyone involved. I thought about the kids' school events, birthdays, holidays, all the moments that would now be divided. I thought about the practicalities of co-parenting, of explaining to them why mom and dad weren't together anymore. But I also thought about my own well-being, my own happiness. Did I deserve to sacrifice that for the sake of keeping up appearances? I sought advice from friends, from family, from therapists. Everyone had their opinions, their suggestions, but ultimately no one could make the decision for me. It was my life, my marriage, my choice. Part of me wanted to forgive, to believe that people can change, that we could work through this and come out stronger on the other side. But another part of me felt like the trust was irreparably broken, that no matter how hard we tried, there would always be a crack in the foundation of our marriage. In the end, I knew that staying together for the kids couldn't be the only reason to stay. If we were going to make it work, it had to be because we both wanted to rebuild our relationship. Not just for the sake of appearances, but because we still saw a future together. It had to be because we both believed we could heal, forgive, and move forward. Not just as co-parents, but as partners. I'm not going to pretend that I've figured it all out, or that everything is magically fixed. The truth is, we're still in the middle of it, still navigating the fallout of the affair. Some days I think we can make it work, and other days I question whether I'll ever truly be able to forgive. But I've realized that whatever happens, it's okay to take it one day at a time. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and neither does rebuilding trust. For now, we're both committed to therapy, to open communication, and to doing what's best for our kids. Whether that means staying together or going our separate ways remains to be seen. But one thing I've learned through all of this is that it's okay to not have all the answers right away. Life is messy, relationships are complicated, and sometimes the only thing you can do is take it step by step, hoping that with time, clarity will come. So we're on this journey, one filled with uncertainty, but also with hope. I don't know where it'll lead us, but I do know that I deserve to find peace, whether that's within this marriage or outside of it. And wherever I end up, I'll be okay, because I'm stronger than I ever realized.